Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again with Ciarra Baseball. This is episode number 121 on April 21st of the year 2025. We are airing on Instagram, X, YouTube, and powered by StreamYard. Well, we have a threesome to start, but we do have a surprise guest host for this evening. For those who may not have known, our good co-host, Mr. Tom Waspel, and his wife were the second of our co-hosts to be welcoming another child into their family. So two-time for him. So Tom and Allie, congratulations to the both of you for the second ESB baby already of a young 2025. But we do have a special guest with us tonight. Rich, you want to pull her in?
Of course. I didn't have to search too far to find a replacement for Tom. Her voice and face have been familiar around these ESP parts. We've seen her in a few episodes here on the live stream. This is her second guest host spot. She is the one of the hosts that you hear on a Bronx Take, which airs on ESB NYY space every single day. That is Ciarra Potete, of course. Also of the Pinstripe Chronicles, which I got to make sure you guys follow Pinstripe Chronicles as well. Ciarra, what's going on? Good to see you.
Hey guys, what's going on? For the comments in the chat, I was not late. Mind your business. I was backstage. Always hating on everything I'm doing.
Seriously, they give you a lot of crap on that app for no apparent reason whatsoever. This is just a girlie who loves baseball and Gleyber Torres for whatever reason. I mean, come on, just give her a break. No, Ciarra's been doing a great job over at a Bronx Take. It's been a hit on X. Been getting a lot of great Yankee conversations over the last few over these last couple of months. And I know we're adopting a new schedule that I'm going to get into a little bit later. Ciarra, the host of our Wednesday show at 1:00 p.m. on ESB NYY on X. She's doing a great job over there. But we got a whole lot of show for you guys, so let's get right into it. We're going to start it off, and usually this is where I go over to Tom and to ask him about what's the latest and greatest with Roback. But this time, I'm going to ask his old good buddy Joe, what is the latest and greatest with Roback?
Yeah, so we got a Roback code. Unfortunately, it's named after Tom. So if you go over to roback.com, you can use the code TWASPL to get 15% off your first purchase over at Roback. They got some great golf wear, active wear, business casual stuff to pick from. I have a couple of Azalea collection shirts. They are phenomenal. I even got that hoodie that they have that's like an active wear hoodie. It's incredibly soft. So definitely go over to Roback. Check out what they've got. If you're big into golf, if you're big into polos or quarter zips, or even like sports activewear, they got great stuff over there. So you can go over to Roback, get your 15% off your first order. They have both men's and women's stuff. So even if you have an active Mrs. or Ciarra wants to wear some fancy stuff to the gym, they got stuff for that. So make sure you check out Roback and use that code TWASPL15 for 15% off.
Yeah, no, 100%. Definitely go ahead and use that code. I have so many Robacks right now in my closet, and they're absolutely phenomenal. So my favorite brand at the moment. But anyway, we got a good show coming up tonight. We're going to start off first with the Empire Express, giving you the latest and greatest in New York baseball news. A pretty good weekend for both New York teams. So we'll get more into that in a moment. We'll then check in on our ESP fantasy standings, see how things are going in the first annual ESB Fantasy Baseball season. So see how things are going there. We'll check in with everyone. Then a fun game segment. The first time this year, we're bringing back a familiar face, Mr. Khore, with the Khore Kurriculum. That's always one of our most entertaining game segments because a lot of points could fly off the board when that week comes up. And then finally, the New York Strike Exchange will be revealing the Bulls and the Bears over the last 2-week period. So stay tuned. That's always a good reveal as well.
Ciarra gets to join us for her favorite segment this week.
That's true.
I was just about to say, Joe really came in with and just stole a line right there. This is one of we love the support from the community on this specific segment, but this is Ciarra's thing right here, and we're gonna hear her reaction live. She has nothing to do with the voting, which I found out was a mistake because I was handicapped by 2 Met fans while Tom was on paternity leave. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun reveal, and to hear Ciarra's live reaction is gonna be something else. Before we throw it right back to Khoury and Joe for the Mets edition of the Empire Express, definitely want to shout out our chat here. I saw Dr. Kulo is in the building. We got Swift. Should I break my keyboard like Rich? You're never gonna break your keyboard like me, man. How many help desk tickets I put in over the last couple of years? Crazy. Mondays are for ESB. I agree with that, CK, and for Raw too for your WrestleMania.
Oh boy!
What happened, Joe?
Ah, is that fair or foul? Is that fair or foul?
The sounds.
Oh, it's a bomb!
Nobody cares. About
A 3-run homer from Juan Soto.
There we go.
Into the upper deck.
We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. Since when? I don't know. Maybe you are.
Maybe
And
Chris
powered by
Neal.
StreamYard. Shout out to Jonathan Locke in the building. We got Jonathan Locke, Christy Evis, one of the members of the family for ESP NYY. Uncle Mike's in the building. Who's your daddy from Houston? Clark got smacked. Clark got cooked. Yeah, Slick, Tyler, I agree with you guys. And Mike Parr's in the building as well. What's up, y'all? Smack that like and subscribe. We're early into it, 38 people in the building. So let's throw the link around. Let's show some support for the fellas in Ciarra. Ciarra over here from Pinstripe Chronicles and ESPN YY. So we got to show some support for our guest host today, above all. Now, let's get into it. Let's talk about the New York Metropolitans. So far, looking good for Joe and the fellas, playing the Philadelphia Phillies. But for the New York Mets guys, coming off another good week. You got guys like Kodai Senga leading the charge now. He's got that .79 ERA. And truly one of the real X factors of this Mets teams, guys, because we just did not know what type of pitcher Kodai would be in this early part of this 2025 season. The Mets sit at 15-7 at top of the division, and with another winner with the Phillies, will pad that lead. But Corey Favs, as we always like to say, we're not looking at the standings this early on. We still have a long ways to go before we really start caring.
Correct. It really is Memorial Day where you start to get a really good feel, especially knowing how the Mets started last year and how they finished. It was a complete night and day difference between the first couple of months and the last couple. And I've seen the reverse so many times where the Mets are looking good in May and all of a sudden by June they fall apart. So
not to interrupt, Corey. Well, Juan Soto's home run has come off the board. It is foul.
No.
By about 2 inches.
I hate late calls that change the complexion of a game. That's awful. Corey Favs, go ahead.
That's rough. Yeah. But anyway, though, what's not rough has been the Mets stretch as of late. You know, they had a 7-game week last week. You started off, you took 1 out of 3 versus the Twins. You know, I would have liked one more game. The last game with the Twins felt like a game the Mets should have won. A lot of weird things happened. They got thrown out at home, thrown out trying to take extra bases, some bad defense late in the game. So it was a weird game. But then they really stepped it up when they came home and played the Cardinals this past weekend in a 4-game series. They won all 4. So you sign up for that anytime. And the name of the game really continues to be the starting pitching. I mean, you mentioned him before, Rich. Kodai Senga has been absolutely phenomenal as of late. I think he's very well deserving of a bull spot. We'll see if he makes our list later in the show. But that team staff right now, 235. I mean, that is a phenomenal ERA. Another interesting Mets stat when it comes to pitching, they are by far the lowest team in the league in terms of giving up home runs. And that just goes to show you that the Mets, if you give up some hits, you give up some walks, but you're limiting the damage by not giving up the long ball, you're going to be able to stay in a lot of games. And it's been the Mets pitching that's really kept them together as of late, because the offense has been they'll have those games where they'll put up runs, and then they'll have those games where they only get 1 or 2, but it tends to be enough lately. So the offense will wake up. Those numbers will get better. And that's the great thing about this right now, because the Mets offense isn't clicking on all cylinders, but the pitching is, and they are winning games the old-fashioned way by doing it on the mound.
Joe?
Yeah, no, I mean, this has been phenomenal. Like we said, the offense still isn't exactly where you want it to be, but right now, if the season were to end today, Pete Alonso would be the MVP in the National League. That's how good of an offensive start he is. He's carrying the team. And one of the best things that the Mets did this offseason was downplay what Kodai Senga, what they expected from Kodai Senga. They let him do his thing. They let him get back into the swing of things. They put him as the 5th spot in the rotation coming out the gate, and he has been nothing short of phenomenal. This staff we've talked about before, they don't have a big ace pitcher. Well, I'm pretty sure that they believe that he can be that ace, that Senga can be that ace. So for him to get off of this start after the injuries last year, be raring to go, that gives the Mets a ton of confidence going forward. It's great for Kodai. It's great for this Mets team, and this Mets team is rolling right now. They're up 2-0 against the Phillies. The Phillies are coming in this series with all the pressure on them. The Mets don't have any pressure. The Phillies got to prove that last year's NLDS was a fluke and not the fact that the Mets own them, because the Mets so far look like they have owned the Phillies in the past 12 months of baseball. So the Phillies have a lot of pressure on them to kind of set the tone for the season, say, we're not going to let the Mets steamroll us in the NLDS and then come in and get beaten up in the first series between the two teams this year. So that should give the Mets a little bit of an advantage, a little bit looser of a play. They get McNeil and Alvarez back this week. So the Mets are going to be close to whole, minus Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas, who might not even be in the rotation when he comes back at this point.
Well, speaking of pressure, I mean, no one has more pressure on them than Nick Castillo. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to hold that one.
Don't go there. Right?
Let's look ahead to the Mets schedule. So the Mets playing the Phillies for 2 more of these games after tonight. Actually, if you checked out our Instagram, if you give us a follow at Empire State of Baseball, our guy Took, when he's not sending video submissions on the weeks that he's not sending the videos that we play here on the show, he is posting his picks on Instagram, and he's got the Phillies taking the Mets 2 out of 3 games. So thus far, based on at least what we're seeing from tonight, it looks like the Mets are going to get a nice advantage here. So Phillies at the Mets for the next 3, and then the Mets have the day off, and then they play the Nationals in Washington for 3 games here. You guys look ahead to this series. Khoury, we'll start with you. This expectations facing 2 back-to-back NL East foes. What do you got on your end?
Well, listen, on the Phillies side, I want the Chooch to be wrong. I mean, obviously, I want the sweep of the Phillies. But you take 2 of 3. Just win the series early. It would be such a fun statement if you can go out and sweep them after the way the DS round went last year. But just take 2 of 3. I mean, I think Wheeler pitches on the 3rd game, so that'll be a tough matchup. Take 2 of 3. I'll be happy. Same thing with the Nats. Take 2 of 3. You just continue to win series at this juncture versus your division rivals.
Nats is a 4-game series, but I agree with Khoury. 2 out of 3. Wheeler pitches on Wednesday. The Mets historically have never hit Wheeler well. I expect Wheeler to be much the same. Wheeler's 2nd or 3rd best pitcher in all of baseball right now. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. And so the Mets have had trouble with him. I expect 2 out of 3. Listen, even if the Phillies take 2 out of 3, it's not a big deal. It's early in the season. So this is something that the Mets are playing, the Mets are in a very good spot going into Washington.
We got 54 people in the building. Let's just keep the numbers going up. We got a great conversation going on today as far as some of the most underrated stars in the game. In the game across the Mets and Yankees, we're going to get into a little bit. Khore Kurriculum makes a return. New York Strike Exchange, one of our favorite segments. So let's get that link around on X, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Just let's keep increasing this baseball community that's pouring into Empire State of Baseball. So thank you guys for that. Now, Ciarra, let's turn the attention to the New York Yankees. And with the New York Yankees, they're coming off their best stretch thus far this season, going 6 out of their last 7 games here. That's an .857 winning percentage there, sitting at the top of the division. And these were the standings going into today. So this might not be fully up to date. This is the best we can do. Sorry, I can't do this live, guys. But the Yankees are currently in the mix with the Guardians. Jason Dominguez had just gone deep in that game, so it's currently a 6-2 lead for the Guardians in the late stages of that game. But Ciarra, your recent thoughts on this team? They've been playing good ball against Tampa Bay, 3 out of 4 games taken there. They swept the Kansas City Royals, another team that's potentially could be contending for a playoff spot at some point at the end of the year. Your thoughts on the Yankees lately?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see them play good ball right now because there was a few games early on where they didn't look so good. And if you look at the ERA, the pitching still doesn't look the best, but yet we're winning games. So, I mean, that's what we need. I know earlier we spoke about how nothing really matters until Memorial Day, but the way that I see it is if we don't win these games early on and we go through a slump later in the season, these early games can come back and bite us in the ass. And I hear other fans online talking about, oh, you're just playing the Tampa Bay Rays. Like, it's not a big deal. And I don't like looking at things like that because every baseball team, they can win a game on any given day. As far as beating the Royals and sweeping them, they are a thorn in our side, and they will be when playoff time comes. So any advantage we have over them is what we need. Jason Dominguez looks great. I know there was a lot of question marks about him coming into the season. His defense has looked so much better in the outfield. Mm-hmm. I just wish Boone would stop pulling him out and letting him, go further into the games, especially when he's hitting well. And I guess really the only other question mark at this point, and it'll work itself out, is the bullpen and Devin Williams, because we've seen some sloppy baseball from him, but not too worried about it moving forward.
We're going to have a little bit more on Devin Williams later on today, spoiler alert, but I know we talked about Devin at length on today's earlier edition of A Bronx Take. And even though there are Yankee fans that are not comfortable having the conversation yet, you just look at what Williams' track records be in the last 5 years. Joe, Khoury, please don't mention the Pete Alonso home run when I'm doing this. This is a guy who's considered one of the best top three relievers in the game. And I think his resume speaks for itself. And for that's why you got to ride with him there. And I understand Luke Weaver is sitting right there and he's putting up the numbers that he's currently putting up. And that's a guy who, again, at later today, we may talk about because he put up bull of the week type of numbers over the last couple of weeks. You have to go with the guy who's been proven in the role, because for how long, and Joe and Khoury, you hear this from Yankee fans all the time. Mm-hmm. Oh, they just need the lockdown closer. They don't have that guy. They've been running out guys that we never even heard of. They've been running out Clay Holmes and Aroldis Chapman. When are they going to get a lockdown closer, Khoury? And they finally get one. And they finally get one. And he's been off to a bad start. This is not a good start for Devin Williams.
Yeah.
But technically, 9 ERA alone doesn't have a blown save yet. I kind of want to see Devin in the more highest pressure roles instead of trying to get him work. And I know that was a big thing talked about. And shout out to Joey Bag of Donuts for really, banging that point home earlier. But yeah, you want to see him in the pure closer role that he's been accustomed to in Milwaukee. And yeah, it's a shame that it's a rough start for Devin, because we just know how the fans react. If there's an overreaction from the fan base. Love what Luke Weaver is doing in the 8th inning right now. Keep it as is. Devin has earned the right to stay in that 9th inning role for as long as it takes. Clay Holmes blew 13 games before the Yankees took down the role. You got to ride with Devin there, Khoury.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. You got to keep riding him out. It's a different conversation if we get to all of a sudden the All-Star break and the same stuff is happening. It's still April. It's cold. It's been a very cold and windy start up here in the Northeast. This last weekend was finally the first weekend in a while we had good weather on a weekend, so that was nice. But you ride him out. And I don't know the exact splits either. But I do recall seeing that you look historically at Devin Williams' numbers, and he tends to have his worst month in April. Like his ERA is like a full run higher in April typically than the rest of the year. So maybe that's a little bit benefit of the doubt. I've seen it firsthand with Francisco Lindor. He tends to be a slow starter as well. First 3-4 weeks for him are usually rough. Look at him now. He's been arguably our hottest hitter over the last week. So once the weather gets a little warmer, I think he'll be fine. Continue to ride him out. The good thing is, too, you got Luke Weaver there. If you need to give Williams a blow, I have full faith in Luke Weaver to go out there and get a save if you need it. And a lot of times, we talked about a little bit last week, a lot of times your highest pressure situation might not even be the 9th inning. It might be that 7th and 8th inning spot. And right now, Luke Weaver's your best pitcher. So if it works out, get Luke Weaver in those situations.
It's working out from a traditional sense, because we know how they titled them. They've titled Weaver as the 8th inning guy and Williams as the 9th inning guy. But if we're just going to base on traditional stats, yeah, Weaver's the better reliever right now. So it's beneficial to keep him in the current traditional role, because it is still giving your offense another chance to put up more damage before Williams comes out in the game, or lately when we see it in Fernando Cruz. More on him shortly. Joe, I know you have something on your head.
Yeah, I mean, Williams has earned it. He is absolutely one of the best closers in the game of baseball. He's having a rough time. Dare I say, when something happens to you like it did last year, I won't mention it by name, but that does change you. When the last pitch you threw turns around your team's season from advancing to the next round to going home, that has to hit your psyche a little bit. And the great closers bear down and go through it. I mean, Mariano gave up one of those in 2001, but he's different. He shook it off and never had that issue again. So, that's part of this is Williams has to figure out a way now to trust his stuff, trust who he is, and trust the fact that he's a great closer. The Yankees are going to roll with him. However, if the Yankees aren't seeing results by the All-Star break or whatever it is, 4th of July, whatever date that is, if they're not seeing results, the Yankees have no loyalty to Devin Williams. The games he saved for the Milwaukee Brewers only go so far for them. As far as the Yankees are concerned and the Yankee fans, the Yankees and Yankee fans have no appetite for blown saves. They never have. It dates back to Goose Gossage and Sparky Lyle. The Yankees have always had great closers and people at the end of that bullpen who come in and shut down. The Yankee fan has no patience. And so Williams on a 1-year deal, if he doesn't turn it around, the pressure is going to intensify immensely because the Yankee fan is not going to sit there in July and deal with Williams with a 6.5 ERA blowing ball games. We got a little ways to go before that. He's earned that leash from his professional, the back of his baseball card. But he did that not as a Yankee. He did that as a Brewer. So that leash is shorter than it would be on other teams.
Could it just be, just to simple it down, could it just be the unfamiliarity aspect? The fact the guy did pitch in Milwaukee, the fact that the Yankee fans don't even know who this pitcher was before he was traded for Nestor Cortez in December. I just think those factors play in. I mean, if this was a guy who was doing this, let's say was doing this for the Crosstown Mets, and they've been used to seeing him, in the back of the headlines, I think there's, more to sit. You're sitting back and you're like, okay, like we know what he can do because we've seen him. But because Yankee fans haven't seen him because he plays in the Century, he plays in Wisconsin. Who's fucking watching games in Wisconsin out of the Yankee brass here?
Well, Edwin Diaz, remember, Edwin Diaz's first season with the Mets did not go smoothly.
Right. Correct.
But the difference is they traded a lot to get Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano, and Edwin Diaz was signed to multiple years. So the Mets had to make it work. The Yankees would like to make it work and like to have him be the closer of the immediate future for the next 5 years, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, the Yankees do not have a multi-year investment right now in Devin Williams. So if Devin Williams can't cut it in New York, they're not going to give him $18 million a year to be the closer from after this year. They're going to cut bait and let him go, and somebody else, it'll be somebody else's problem.
That was the thing. Like you said, when the Mets got Edwin Diaz, same situation. You get a closer at a bad first year. That he's had 4 or 5 years of control when they made that trade. So a little bit of a different situation. That's why it cost a lot of ammunition. Again, in hindsight, even though it did work out in the Mets' favor, at the time, it was an overpay in that trade. So, but it's a different situation with the contracts.
Let's take a look at the rest of the Yankee schedule here, Ciarra. We got the Guardians for 2 more games. Again, not really going the Yankees' way tonight. So this one, unless taking a miracle late inning comeback, it looks like this is going to go the Guardians' way. 2 more against Cleveland, another off day on Thursday. Both the Mets and Yankees off. Maybe I should have just had the show on Thursdays. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Yankees host an AL East foe, the Toronto Blue Jays, who are chasing them up the standings. So Ciarra, just looking ahead here, are you feeling confident that the Yankees can take the majority of these games? Give us a quick prediction.
I felt very confident going into today, but Clark the Shark let me down, unfortunately. At least we're on the board. Thank you, Dominguez. But I do think we'll take 2 out of 3 against Cleveland. Toronto is just one of those teams because they're in the AL East. You never know how it's going to go. But I do think we'll take 2 out of 3. So we're looking at 4 out of 6 over the next 6 games, and we'll still be in good standing.
I'll take that. You take 4 out of 6 this early on in the season with everything that worked against the Yankees. And I mentioned this earlier as well, being even just 14-8 when you were going into opening day with missing 3/5 of your rotation. They just got one back in Clark, who again, did not look great today. It could be worse without Giancarlo Stanton, when the Yankees can desperately use. We live in a world where the Yankees desperately need right-handed hitting, which is crazy. Losing Giancarlo Stanton's big time as well. So the fact that they're in this position, as long as they're taken serious, as long as they are looking respectable, even if they're 500 across 6 games, you take it. So they're playing. I think they're playing at a pretty good clip right now. So look forward to keep that up against the rest of these Cleveland Guardian Blue Jays games for the week. Okay, let's get into a bit of the bigger segment that I wanted to cover today. Was in our title. Talking about New York's most underrated players. Now, at this point in the season, and I'll go back to Khoury and Joe. On the Mets right now, which underrated contributor has been a focal point to the success of your team thus far?
Yeah, I got to say, too, we talked about the starting pitching before, and I'm going to go out there and say Griffin Canning. And, Griffin Canning, when they Mets signed him, he was really a depth piece. There was a chance he was going to be a long reliever and not a starting pitcher. The Mets suggested they were going to flirt with a 6-man rotation at points throughout the year. So Griffin Canning would have gotten some spot starts. But then with the injuries to Minaya and Montas, all of a sudden, Griffin Canning found himself in a spot where he had to start every 5th day. And honestly, he's done a good job at it so far. You see the record 2-1, 3.43 ERA. You look at the game logs too. He's only had one game where he gave up more than 2 runs. And ironically, they still got the win. That was one of the days where the offense had a nice day. And all of a sudden, you still get the win out of it. So Griffin Canning, got to give him credit. The guy was very far from guaranteed a starting pitching spot. A lot of fans were upset by the signing. It really was supposed to be a depth piece. And all of a sudden, he's been a big piece of the puzzle. Honestly, I don't think Frankie Montas would have done this good. So I'm very pleased with what Canning has done so far. You could make the same case, too, for Tyler McGill, but Tyler McGill is a familiar face. I know McGill in the past, he'd have one good start, 2 bad, but he's had a good year, too. So both of them, Tyler McGill and Griffin Canning, were a nominee for this spot. I went with Griffin Canning, though, because there were no expectations for him coming into the season.
Before I throw to Joe, I just wanted to make this note, because I know it got out to the press that, when Luis Severino was talking to the Mets, that there was a chance that there could have been a reunion on a lesser deal for less money to come back, and it wasn't in the cards there. But I do wonder, in a world that the Mets bring back Severino, I don't know if you see Griffin Canning even
probably not
flash what he's doing for the New York Mets right now. Joe, your thoughts on Canning, and we'll get to your player.
Yeah, I think the Severino, if they signed Severino, I think it would have been Montas that would not have been signed, or Minaya, depending on how the timeline worked out. I always felt that was one of each, one of Minaya or Severino. But listen, Cannon's been phenomenal. And listen, you look at the Baseball Savant page and you're like, oh, everything's around the 50s and he's a run-in-the-mill pitcher at this point. But if you look at 2024, he's in the bottom 10 in almost every statistic. So the Mets took him, put him in the lab, see what the lab brought out in him. And it's brought out basically an average to slightly above average major league pitcher, which is more than I could have ever hoped for a guy that had, a 6.5 ERA last year.
Exactly.
So for him to come in, he's eaten 21 innings so far this year to a 3.43 ERA. I will sign on the dotted line for that every single time. He's been really good for them. And at the end of the day, whether he stays in the rotation or works and as a mop up / long relief guy.
We got another 2-run home run. Jazz Chisholm just went deep. So now the Guardians lead 6-4. They're in the top of the 8th inning.
Oh,
love it.
And they're going to have to see what Clase brings to the table.
Good point, Joe. Don't give me hope here.
Yeah.
Joe, who's your player? Who you want to talk about?
So my player, I'm going into the bullpen side. I'm sticking with the pitching, is Ryan Stanek, a guy who was re-signed late in the offseason. Was really one of those guys that they acquired late last year. Big game pitcher, loves the big spots, and he has been nothing short of phenomenal. Actually, the ERA at 1.08, it was 0 as of before yesterday. So he just gave up 1 run yesterday, but
you cursed him.
Yeah, 9 games, 8 1/3, 10 strikeouts. He's got 2 holds. He's got a save. He's been absolutely phenomenal for the Mets. And he's the kind of guy that over the course of his season, his numbers tend to be a little like, but this guy is a big game pitcher. And for whatever reason, he loves the big games. He's a big-time playoff pitcher. He was phenomenal in the playoffs last year. He has a 2.89 ERA in the playoffs. Last year in 8 innings, he was pretty good, gave up 5 hits, 3 earned in total. So the Mets brought him back on, I think, a 1-year deal, and he's been nails. He's been split in the 8th inning role, basically, with A.J. Minter right now, and he has been everything the Mets wanted from him.
100%. And I was very happy when they brought back Stanek, because in the playoffs last year, he was the best relief pitcher for the Mets in the playoffs. You look at his regular season stats with the Mets when they got him, in July last year, not that good, but he turned it up very late in the season, continued it, had a phenomenal playoff run. Like Joe said, a very big game pitcher, high energy guy. And at this juncture, about 3.5 weeks into the 2025 season, he's probably the reliever I trust most out of the pen right now. The pen's been very good, but Stanek has been phenomenal thus far.
Yeah. So we flip over from the Mets side of things to the Yankees. Ciarra, we'll start with you. Most underrated player on the Yankees right now that's been a solid contributor this far into 2025.
Listen, I'm going to channel my inner Tom Waspel right now before the comments start rolling in about the guy that I'm going to say. I don't have those, but I'm just going to say kick rocks before the comments start rolling in. I'm going with Oswaldo Cabrera. I know he had a rough weekend, but before this weekend, when I was asked this question, he was a silent contributor. He's getting on base, which when you're a bottom of the lineup guy and you're not an everyday player, you're supposed to be the bench utility guy. Honestly, all I need from you is to just get on base. I don't need the home runs. I don't need the big sexy power. I just need you to contribute, and that's exactly what Oswaldo's doing. Today, he actually raised his batting average up to 294 from 286. He has 1 less run than Cody Bellinger, and he has 2 more runs than Austin Wells, who is your everyday catcher. So Waldo's doing what Waldo's supposed to be doing. The only thing that I'm asking from him moving forward is that he can steal some bases, because he has the speed to do it, and, work on the defense a little bit. But at the end of the day, he's not supposed to be our everyday third baseman, so I can't even kill him over that. He is a solid contributor. And honestly, I hope when DJ makes his return for whatever reason, that Waldo still has, some days where he gets in and he's not just rotting on the bench.
Yeah, two years in a row, the Yankees went incomplete with their roster, specifically at third base. And we remember last year, Ciarra, in April, how hot Oswaldo Cabrera was to start off the 2024 campaign. And to expect that Cabrera is going to put that type of offensive output 2 years in a row, I think is I think is asking for a little too much there. Cabrera, it does a fine job in the role that he's supposed to be in. And that's just being a Swiss Army knife. A guy is just filling in multiple roles when guys just need a blow. A guy who can, grab a couple of bags at, if he's asked on a pinch running appearance, although that hasn't been there right there. He's 0 stolen bases to kick off the year. But he's done a fine job. And between what the Yankees are getting out of Cabrera and Peraza, as much as you want to see the bat show up, as long as you're getting a glove from either one of those 2 players at third base, you can live with the offensive output in the 9th spot in the order. The problem is Cabrera made a bad play over the weekend, and which led to the Tampa Bay Rays coming back. So you're hoping a guy like Cabrera just shore it up on the defensive side. But yes, this is an underrated player for what he's supposed to be to this Yankees team. So a good pick there. And I'll get into mine real quickly. I know Li was calling us out on X earlier because he was hoping that we'd pick Ben Rice. And I could have. Ben Rice has been off to an exceptional start to the season, but I really wanted to go with somebody who's probably not getting talked about enough. And Ben Rice is getting covered, every which way, because he's putting up a year which right now, Joe and Khoury, he's on his way to possibly making an appearance at the All-Star game this year, Ben Rice. So I wanted to talk about somebody else who's probably not getting as much coverage, and that's Fernando Cruz. Fernando Cruz has been off to a fantastic start for the Yankees out of their bullpen. This was the guy who came over in the Jose Trevino deal. I know I saw Jacob Petruzzi was calling him out in the chat, so there you go, Jacob. 2 saves on his ledger thus far for Cruz. 2.25 ERA and a whole hell of a lot of red on that baseball savant graphic right there. So love what I'm seeing out of Cruz, a 146 batting average against. Ciarra, for somebody who, let's face it, really didn't have a role in this Yankees team after showcasing the fact that, he doesn't have an arm behind the plate anymore. The Yankees got a real gem in Fernando Cruz out of that Jose Trevino deal.
Listen, I am such a sucker for guys like Fernando Cruz who come into the Yankees clubhouse and are just so happy to be here. The moment I saw the selfie that he posted, biggest smile in the world. I just needed him to find a spot on this roster, and he's done that. We had so many question marks going into this season with the bullpen. Loaizaga, we don't know when he's coming back. Jake Cousins is injured. Brubaker's still injured. We have Scott Efros, who I don't even know if it's a real player at this point. I don't think he exists. So for Fernando Cruz to come in and make his mark and have 2 saves, he's 100%. Nobody expected that out of him. And I hope to see more moving forward because after watching him pitch, this guy has filthy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Can't ask for more.
Absolutely. He's got a devastating breaking pitch that, you got to get into the pitcher's count to establish it. Because when he's spitting it early, that's when he loses a lot of batters. That's when he's putting guys on base. So Fernando's been off to a great start thus far in his 2025 campaign. But let's move it along before we move it along to our next pitch, which is our updated standings of the ESB Fantasy League. Joe, let's talk about the latest and greatest with YouTube.
Yes, we are live on Instagram and X, but YouTube is our preferred platform to view our show. You can share, and subscribe. And YouTube, one of the great things about it is you can be part of the show. The comments are read live. We can bring them up on screen. We can interact with you guys as well. So join us over there. We have 458 subscribers at this particular moment. We're looking to get to 500. We're going to do a giveaway once we get to 500 subscribers. So please go over there. Please subscribe, share the video, pass it along. And then once we get to 500, we are going to do a giveaway on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Looking forward to that giveaway. Last year, what was it? We gave away 2 baseball cards that were autographed. So looking forward to seeing what our 500 subscriber giveaway episode is. So let's get that number up, guys. If you haven't subscribed, or if you joined us, most likely you are subscribed. So thank you guys for joining us. Let's just get the word around, get some more people in here from all different baseball communities, not just Mets, Yankees. We love to talk to every fan. I see Uncle Mike's in here. Uncle Mike's a Houston Astro fan. So shout out to Uncle Mike, who's in our chat, who's joined us here for Empire State of Baseball. Now, before we get into our game segment, which is Khore Kurriculum, I have to throw out, of course, our updated standings. And I pick on Khore because, Khore's leading the pack. Look at him at the top of the list. And I don't know, Khoury, Favs. I know we had a conversation and I should feel confident that anybody has a chance to climb back in here. But Khore has held that number 1 spot for, I feel like now 3 straight weeks, with 103 in total. The Chooch, a.k.a. Took, he's climbed up to 98. Khore, yourself, you're at 81.5. Our good buddy Tom, who's on paternity leave, is at 77. I sit in at 73.5. Sierra Joe, Josh Keefe, and poor Chris round out the list there. Khoury, Favs, again, I'm going to keep asking. Do we have a shot, or can we just hand the championship to Khore at this point?
Yeah, we still have a shot, but you're going to start to see that week-to-week numbers going to shift a little less day to day. We're still seeing. I've had a day last week where I think I went up 4 or 5 points, and then within 2 days I lost it. Then I gained it back. So there's still a chance. It's still early in the season. You'll see some shifting, but the point it's not going to differ as much as it used to. When we did it, the first reveal, we were still at a point where it's so early in the season that in one day you could have 8 to 10 point swings. Those days are pretty much done. And you look at Khore there at the top. I mean, he's got 10s in a lot of categories, and we spoke about it a few times about Roto. You usually punt a category and try to do at the top of just about everything else. And you look at Khoury, all right, he's got a 3 in stolen bases, but every other category is an 8 or better. I mean, absolutely wild.
Insane.
So, it's a phenomenal stop by Khoury. It is far from over, but he's put himself in a good position in this first month of the season.
He's a fantasy cheat code. It's ridiculous. So like we did 2 weeks ago, I like to just kind of get a feel of what's going on with everybody's rosters. And Joe, I'll start with you. So when you look at your roster, you look at who you drafted. Who's been the most disappointing player thus far in the few weeks into the fantasy baseball season for you?
Yeah, it's got to be Chris Sale. I mean, a 6+ ERA for Chris Sale. I drafted on pitching. He doesn't even have a quality start yet. I mean, if you look at my pitching categories, I'm 8th in ERA, 9th in WHIP, 10th in Ks per strikeout, and quality starts in Ks. I'm 7th and 5th. If Sale was half of what he was last year, I'd be leading in every pitching category. So he's been hurting my team bad. I'm hoping he turns it around. But he's kind of indicative of the Braves team thus far this year.
Ciarra, how about you? Most disappointing on your disappointing player on your team?
I mean, my pitching is the complete opposite. So I'm doing very good in stolen bases, clearly, and hits, but my entire pitching staff is trash, especially Devin Williams and AJ Pluck. So that's just been very disappointing for me. However, I am very happy that I have I'm above Joe now, and I'm closing in on Rich. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's not that hard to catch me in any fantasy league lately. Khoury Favs, how about you? Most disappointing player that you had drafted?
Yeah, for me, it's Bailey Ober, and I know he's not the most popular name, but he's been a pretty good pitcher the last few years, and he's like a middle of the draft type guy who gives you a lot of quality starts, but he's been far from quality this year. Just 101 on the season, but a 6.16 ERA. So that 6.16 ERA and a 1.4 WHIP is not going to cut it for all of these categories.
And for me, I know it's a player that I probably shouldn't be totally mad at. I mean, we're talking about a sub-4 ERA on this guy, but once again, Tyler Glasnow is probably hitting the injured list again after having another lower extremity injury yesterday. So Glasnow, who year after year, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to decide, okay, is this the year I take him? And the year I don't take him is the year he figures it out. No, this time I was like, I have confidence in Glasnow. He's going to stay healthy. No, of course not. So right now, day to day, but possibly an IL stint for Glasnow. Hopefully not. Tyler not living up to what he's supposed to be thus far in the early portion of 2025. So I'm throwing Tyler Glasnow as my most disappointing player that I drafted about a month ago. So we're going to just keep moving along here. I know we're going to get to Khoury real shortly. Before we get there, Khoury Favs, let's talk about the latest and greatest on Instagram.
Go ahead, follow us on Instagram at Empire State of Baseball. Right now, we're at 7,100 followers and continuing to grow. You'll find all our meme reels there, our archived segments. You'll find graphics, polls, everything for the most part finds its way to Instagram eventually. So go ahead and follow us again at Empire State of Baseball, and all of us individually, myself at Khoury Favs, Joe at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Waspel.
Shout out to Tom. Congratulations to Tom, by the way. I know we sung the praises of Tom and Allie, but congrats to them having their second child on Thursday. Another special shout out to our good buddy, Mr. 2 Spill. But it is time we get into our game of the week, and let's pull up the standings. Because listen, fellas, I mean, I love how the standings are looking so far. I don't know about y'all. I'm up at the top at 5 after a dominant lineup card performance. Khoury Favs, Joe tied at 2, and poor Tom is stuck at 0. But you know what? I'm going to do Tom a favor because Ciarra's sitting in the chair. Ciarra, any point you pull today is going to go towards Tom's total. So Tom's going to have to send you a Christmas card or something if you put on a hell of a performance. He ends up winning the whole thing by the year end. Does that sound good?
I mean, I don't know if he should put much faith in me as far as trivia goes, but hey, if I can get him some points, we'll do it.
Well, this is the game to do it because the next person we're pulling up is responsible for this game known as Khore Kurriculum. It is the return of our good buddy Khore. Khore, what's going on, man? Good to see you, and welcome back to your very own segment here, Khore Kurriculum. What's going on, man?
Not much. Thanks for having me, as always, guys.
Khore, how you feeling about the fantasy league team thus far? You feeling confident you're going to hang on to that number one spot throughout the season?
I feel good with my team. I'm slowly losing points day over day, but it's not coming from any one category. So I'm trying to figure out what to do next. But in time, we'll figure it out.
It's a slow grind, the old-fashioned roto league, especially now because you said you're losing a point here, losing a point there throughout the week, but gone are the days where it's like 10-point swings each day just because a few guys went off.
Yeah,
there was a point I was at like 112, I want to say, last week, and it slowly dwindled down to 99. So I'm like, well, we got to find where those 10 points are coming from.
Well, Khore, I've lost a ton of championship games to Khore over these last few years. You played all the different versions of fantasy, head-to-head points, categories, now roto. To you, what's your preferred choice when it comes to playing fantasy baseball?
I like Roto a lot. I think it gives you the ultimate, like, who has the best team in the league, just based on how the points get shaken out. I think it gives a little bit of a different strategy than head-to-head. Head-to-head, obviously, you could have a hot week, right? And that can carry you. In Roto, it kind of all evens out. So you can kind of take those shots on those streaky players of, someone who's going to hit, who can get hot and hit, 5, 6, 7 homers in a short time period, but at the end of the day, is going to hit 30 homers, right? That's still important. It's not going to hurt you over the long run. It's still going to just count towards your total. So you can kind of ride those waves.
There you go. So you're hearing it from the number one leader right now in our ESB Fantasy League, but we're going to come off fantasy and we're going to talk about today's trivia question. Now, Khore, this one, you're starting this off with a bang here. Multiple points are on the line here. Actually, there's so many points on the line that we even had to stack it up. So before we even get to the question, what's the rule set we got for this particular question tonight?
I think we'll just leave it to a 5-minute timer, figure out how many answers you can get out in 5 minutes, and then we'll tally them up and give out points that way.
Okay, let's do it. Let's get right into the question. What do you got here, Khore?
Let me get my timer ready first.
And I would say let's do an answer at a time so we're not all shouting at these answers.
Yep. So April 11th, the Mets played the Athletics, went west quickly, played at Sutter Health Park. That became their 63rd different ballpark that they have played in franchise history. Excluding the current 30 homes of MLB teams, how many of the remaining venues can you name? Now, there's a few of them that I don't expect anyone to get the names of. So if you're like, I kind of remember them playing here, we can sort points out that way as well.
Okay.
And we're going to do like the round the room, right?
Maybe we should do it based on standings. So we'll go Ciarra, Joe, Khoury, then me.
Okay.
That sound good? All right. So Ciarra, take the first shot at it.
I don't know if I fully understand the question.
So it's essentially name the 33 stadiums that the Mets have played in that's not a current stadium.
The Pole Grounds.
That's one.
Okay.
Damn, I was gonna say the Polo Grounds. Was it Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia? Is that what it used to be called?
Yep, that's one.
I mean, I'll just take the easy one. I'll take Shea.
There we go.
And I'll just take Old Yankee.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, C.
Minute Maid Park.
Yes.
Okay, Joe.
Actually, no. It's just changed names. It's Minute Maid Park.
Yeah, that's a current stadium.
Oh, you suck, Joe.
Old Atlanta. Turner Field.
Turner. Yep.
But with RFK Stadium.
Correct.
That's a good one.
Qualcomm Stadium. San Diego.
Correct.
The old San Diego.
Oakland Coliseum.
Good poll.
That's a good poll. Yep.
Who's up, Joe?
Oh, it's me. The Minnesota Twin Dome or whatever they call it.
Metrodome. Yep.
Yep.
Metrodome.
Strodome.
Gosh.
Yep.
I'll keep this rolling. The Kingdome.
A lot of domes.
Seattle.
They did not play in Seattle.
Ooh.
That's not good. Ciarra.
I don't know. Now I'm just thinking of stadiums that have been renamed. I have no idea. Comiskey?
Yes. The old
Yeah.
Tiger Stadium.
Well, old White Sox Stadium, though.
White Sox, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe.
What is it? Arlington Ballpark in Texas?
Yep.
Yep.
That's a good poll. Forgot about old Arlington.
Oh, now it's going to get a little tricky here. Veteran Stadium.
Veteran Stadium was pulled already by Joe.
Yeah, that was
I
already.
Oh, my bad. I missed it. All right. I'll take the X.
Marlins Park. The old Marlins Park.
Yes, that's where is it in my list?
I forgot what they
Sun
named
Life
it so many
Stadium.
different times. Had so many different like sponsors.
Yeah. I have Sun Life Stadium down.
But that's Ciarra.
Tropicana Field.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that counts. That counts. I guess
I'm
yeah, it does
counting it.
technically
Doesn't
count, right?
exist.
Technically, they're not playing there this year.
Well, it
so.
does exist, but sure. Joe.
How about Busch Stadium, right?
Yep.
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I forget if this is the actual name, but what about Wimbledon in London?
Yes.
Oh,
Ooh,
That's a
good call.
good-
Khoury.
oh, so we're going those kinds.
Oh man, I don't even know. So it's the Expos ballpark, and I'm just trying to think of the name, man.
Yep. It's Olympic Stadium.
Olympic Stadium.
Olympic Stadium. That's it. Olympic Stadium. I don't know if you count that. Ciarra.
Fulton County Stadium.
Yes.
There you go.
We have 90 seconds left.
In Cincinnati, Riverfront Stadium, right?
Yep.
Or Three River? Or was it Riverfront?
Khoury.
Riverfront.
Oh man, this
Joe
is
just gave you one.
I missed. I was too busy thinking of my own. That I heard Riverfront. I'm just gonna say Riverfront.
No, that's
that was
the one I
you
said.
got with.
All right.
Tiger Stadium.
Tiger Stadium. Yep.
Kaufman. Oh, sorry.
Wasn't Tiger Stadium Comiskey?
No,
Oh,
Comiskey's
Comiskey was the White
Chicago.
Sox.
Chicago. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't mess up the Chicago stadiums, Joe.
we're doing
Kaufman.
No, that's current.
That's current.
Oh man.
I'll go the one I said that three people
Yeah.
missed, which is Three Rivers Stadium
I didn't
There
even
you
hear
in Pittsburgh.
And then I forget the exact name, but the Mets, I think back in the early teens,
Oh God, Khoury.
played in Puerto Rico. They had the Puerto Rico series.
Yeah. 2004
Candlestick.
and 2003. Yep.
Yep.
Candlestick.
Is rich. Yep.
How are
15
you on top?
seconds.
Did they play in the Tokyo Dome?
Yes.
That you guessed? Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sorry.
Duh. Joe.
5 seconds.
Peace out.
What was the name of the stadium before Camden Yards? Was it Baltimore County Stadium or something like that?
Joe's bleeding out the clock. I love it. Love the strategy.
I don't
the
have a
strategy.
Baltimore in my list.
No.
No
Okay.
Baltimore?
We got to be out of time here, Khoury, right?
Yeah, we're over. If you want
All
to
right.
finish out
So
the round,
no, it's fine.
They had. Let me know if I need it, but they would have had to play there because of they played the World Series against the Bulls.
this is just regular season games.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Got it.
So, Khoury, did you? I kept score, but if you kept score, you can go ahead and read the results.
Yeah, let me just filter this really quickly.
While we're doing that, quick Mets update. It remains 2-0 after
And
the
quick Yankees
Juan
update,
Soto
Yankees.
non-home run. No score since.
The Yankees did drop this game. Final score 6-4 Guardians. Cade Smith was called on to get the save today. So no Emmanuel Clase in this one.
Yeah, I got him on my fantasy team. Free save.
Lame.
Same.
Awesome.
All righty, Khore, how we looking?
It's not working for me, so if you have it tallied.
Okay. So this is what I got, Khore. You come in if anything's incorrect. So in last place, and as we're going with our point rewards here, and in last place was Khoury Favs with 5. So Khoury ends with a whopping 0. In third place, well, actually, so it's a tie. There's 2 with 6. Me and Ciarra both have 6 points each. So how are we gonna do that now that we have a tie there? Joe, Khoury, do we take since we're tied for second, we both take 2 points each? No.
I have another stadium up my sleeve.
Or we do a sudden death one between the two of us.
You can do sudden death, or you split the second and third place points, get a point and a half each.
Nah, we don't do point and a half. Let's do a
sudden death.
We'll do a sudden death.
Sudden
Yeah,
death.
you can go. You can go ahead first.
They played in the Mexico series.
Yes. Where's the stadium? Estadio de Baseball Monterrey.
Jeez. Crap. Shibe Park.
Shibe Park.
We're going way back. We're going silent movie on this one.
I don't even know what that
Yeah, I
is.
don't have that.
That's around that.
Nope.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
don't
so
have that on my list.
Ciarra got it. So Ciarra got it.
got
So
Tom points.
I got the 1 point. Ciarra got Tom 2 points, and Joe with a whopping 3 points added to your total there. So that's big. That's a big swing there for Joe, as Khore Kurriculum typically is. So a great job there, everybody. Great question there, Khore. So we probably missed on how many stadiums were left there. We're probably had to be like 15, 20.
Checking now. 20. You got, with the sudden death, you got 24 out of the 33.
That's
pretty good.
That's respectful.
Not too bad.
That's
Pretty solid.
respectful. I like it.
Not too
Very
bad.
good.
Yeah, there was a couple random ones. Williamsport Ballpark, they played a game there. Buffalo during COVID, they played a series against the Blue Jays. Denver, they played in Mile High for a season.
There you go. So
There you go.
that's it. Khore Kurriculum. Joe with a big 3 points out of that. And like I said, Khore Kurriculum is a big one. This is a game changer for multiple times throughout the year. So even if you're down like Tom is right now, but Ciarra just kind of brought him back to life. Listen, you can come back just like that on a good Khore Kurriculum. So Khore, once again, bud, really do appreciate you coming by and delivering another great trivia question. And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
All
Khore.
righty.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Khore. All right. Our guy, Khore, the man with all the great trivia questions. You can give him a follow on his Instagram and X. That is @_Khore on Instagram and Khore_ on X. So make sure to give him a follow there. And while we're on following accounts, especially for X, just make sure you're following this account @ESB Podcast on X. Give our subsidiaries a follow @ESB NYM. It's those guys over there @ESB NYY. It's these two over here, along with 3 other folks. Of course, Tom, who's missing today, our good buddies Christy Evis and Boogie. Give them all a follow @Boogie Dan NYY, @Christy Evis 618, @Ciarra Not Miss individually. For the rest of the fam, @Khoury Favs, @JR Pugs, @Rich J Rivera, and @T Waspel. And make sure you're joining us for some great spaces that we have across not only just the main page, but our subsidiary in ESB NYY. Of course, you got to hang with us after the show. We got another episode of Extra Innings, which should probably kick off at around the 9:15 mark. Ciarra will be in the host chair today. So Ciarra's going to be leading the charge. I'll be there as well. So we'll be around like a 9:15 to 10 o'clock show. So make sure to tune in for another edition of Extra Innings. We had a lot of time changes happen with a Bronx take, and those take place this week. I'm still on the 1 o'clocks on Mondays and Fridays. Ciarra's picking up the Wednesday at 1 o'clock as well. But Tuesday and Thursday has a brand new start time of 5 o'clock. 15151. That's how we're going to remember it, folks. So make sure to tune in for all the new start times and support all our co-hosts of A Bronx Take to do a great job. And while we're on the ESP NYY, there was a great segment that our good buddy Christy Evis introduced on the Wednesday show called Empire State of Betting. And because he's got a new showtime on Thursday, typically the Yankees, for whatever reason, don't want to play on Thursdays now. Don't know why. So it kind of throws off the whole ESB angle that he wants to run. So there's a whole new space that's going to be aired at sporadic times throughout the week that Chris Nieves is taking the lead on. It is called Empire State of Betting. So make sure to tune in for Empire State of Betting episodes. Chris Nieves is holding it down on the ESB NYY page. And just stay tuned as we're going to let you know when those show times are throughout the week. So Chris, great job, bud, with the segment, and good luck to you on the brand new space starting this week as well. All righty, we're going to wrap things up with Ciarra's favorite segment. That is the New York Strike Exchange. We're not even going to waste any time. Let's get into the Bears, and I'm going to get right into it with our Bears of the week. And Yankee fans, hold your breath here because it's not looking good for us. For our Bears, we start from the bottom up. Brandon Nimmo and Edwin Diaz represent the New York Mets. Brandon Nimmo's not off to a great start here. 180 batting average, 241 on base for Nimmo, who's, I would consider one of the top, 4 offensive players on this Mets team. And, for this full Mets offense to really start making big differences into games, Nimmo's got to get going. I mean, obviously, yes, you're going to get fantastic offense from guys like Lindor and Soto and Alonso. Alonso's been an absolute beast. More on him in a little bit. But you got to get Brandon Nimmo going to really make this a fully functioning, I hate to say it, but fully functioning Death Star for the New York Mets offense. Edwin Diaz in a number 4 spot. It's just been a cursed position, the closer's role in New York, I guess, to start the 2025 campaign. A 9.64 ERA throughout the last 2 weeks for Edwin Diaz, who we know is much better than what he's been putting out. And I know he had the injured season in 2023. Last year, he's had his ups and downs. For the most part, pretty much saw the Edwin Diaz of all. But this year, it's really been a shell of what Edwin Diaz can put out, but we know there's much more there for Diaz. Number 3 is a guy who had a 2-run home run today, Jazz Chisholm Jr. He's been ice cold. He's in a number 3 spot. He's at a .89 batting average. Is not going to do it over your last couple of weeks. As I mentioned, the closest role has been cursed, and Devin Williams has been the poster child for that when it comes to the 2 New York teams. Emmanuel Clase, we made reference to earlier, not looked great. So the closest role has been cursed for some of the more dominant guys of the game of the last few years. 11.12 ERA for Devin Williams. And as much as I want to support Devin Williams to stay in the role, I have to throw him on the Bear list here. I think he was probably at the top of most. I actually had him in my number 1 personal Bear list. So he's in the number 2 spot. And in the number 1 spot, somebody who's been familiar to the Bear list, but this is somebody who was just on our bull list in the number 4 position a couple of weeks ago, is Anthony Volpe. So Ciarra, look at this list. I love getting your reaction on these kind of things. What are your thoughts when you look ahead here and see that we have 3 Yankees here on the Bear list? Oh,
Ciarra, you're muted.
I'm mute.
I think Joe did that.
I did not.
I don't disagree that these 3 should be on the Bears list. However, it is very apparent that you were missing another Yankee voice on this list because there are some other Mets that could have taken place. Now, Jazz and Volpe have been pretty disappointing at the plate. I know this is only over 2 weeks, but 31 strikeouts for Jazz and 26 for Volpe. It's kind of insane, and they need to figure that out. And I mean, I feel like we've been talking about Devin Williams all day today. He just has to figure it out and get it together. But again, there's some other Mets that could have been on there in place of one of these Yankees.
Who? There's no Met batting 0-89.
Mark Vientos hasn't looked that great this season. Brett Beatty's been super disappointing. So I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
0-89's rough. And remember, Wells and Bellinger could have.
Well, listen, I didn't say which Yankee to take off the list. I just said you could have put another Met on here. We could have had a six person list.
Yeah, I had thrown a Belly as well.
I think Nimmo's on this list because I think the expectation that Nimmo is the Mets 4 hitter is there. The problem with Nimmo right now is he's kind of between approaches. When you're in the 4 position and Nimmo now has the most RBI opportunities for the Mets, it changes your approach. He has to go from a hitter who was not a very aggressive hitter at all in his career to a hitter that has to be aggressive in his career to drive in runs. I disagree with that philosophy change. I think Nimmo should stay within the approach that has gotten him so much success in this league, that earned him that 6-year deal at $150 million. So I think it's an approach issue with Nimmo. I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's going to be okay. But the 4 spot is not his best spot. It might have to come from another spot in the lineup. But the bottom line is they can't put a guy like Vientos in there because Vientos isn't producing at the moment. So Nimmo's kind of stuck in that position for now, and we'll see. He's a good player. I'm not that worried about him. I'm not that concerned about him. We'll see how he adjusts to the new role.
Yeah, and with Edwin Diaz too, the one good thing with Edwin Diaz is that the last week was a lot better than the week prior. So the games that put him on this list were from the week prior. I mean, he had one brutal game. I think it was versus the Marlins, but that game was a lost game anyway. They just put him in there because he hadn't gotten work, and he got absolutely shelled. And then, gave up another couple of runs in his next outing. But he hasn't blown a save this year, and he's looked better in the last couple. So Diaz, again, maybe he gets off the list next year if he keeps up the streak. Just to touch on Volpe too, real quick, Rich, because you mentioned before he was on the Bulls last week or last time around. I think Anthony Volpe was the most switched player throughout the 2024 season, going from bull to bear, bull to bear, bull to bear. Right. And he's continuing that trend this year too. We have to do a final tally to see who wins the awards for most switches and stuff.
It's been incredible. And what I'm going to do with these graphics moving forward, when somebody is the bear or the bull of the week, it's going to tell you how many times they've been at the top of those lists or bottom of those lists moving forward as well. But thus far, we haven't had any new faces here, and kind of offers a little bit of a spoiler there of what's going to happen with our bull list here. But Khoury, Favs, let's get right into it. Let's look at our bulls from the last couple of weeks.
Yep. So go ahead, pulling up that list here. We look right at the bottom. Ben Rice. It's been a nice start to the year for Mr. Ben. 958 OPS, 3 home runs, 7 RBI. So getting some good production out of Mr. Rice. Aaron Judge. It's shocked that he's not number 1 on this list. I mean, Aaron Judge last year was the most number 1 bull. Still finds himself on the list though. 444 average, absolutely phenomenal. The power numbers took a little bit of a dip, but he's getting on base. He's hitting the hell out of the baseball. Did have 1 home run a few days ago, so he remains on the list. Max Fried flirting with the no-no. If he would have ended up getting that no-no, I'm pretty sure he would have been the bull of the week. But phenomenal outings for Fried, 3-0 over the last 2 weeks. Kodai Senga pretty much in the same boat, 3-0 over the last 2-week period. Hasn't given up an earned run in his past 3 starts. I know he's not getting too much length. He did pitch into the 7th inning 2 starts ago, so they're starting to stretch him out a bit more. But you can't ask for much more than that. And at the top of the list, Mr. Pete Alonso. I mean, he continues to be the most productive hitter in the Mets lineup. A lot of big hits, big moments, 13 RBIs over 2 weeks. I mean, this is a guy who's going to hit over 120 RBIs this year in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah, and listen, this is a shock. Rich, you tell us, how long has it been since Aaron Judge has not been number 1 on the Bulls list?
I mean, you have to attribute. Listen, the fact that Aaron Judge is on the Bull list as constantly as he is, I mean, it goes to show how good of how fantastic a player he is. It really came down to a power drought. Let's be honest here. Yeah. He 1 home run, but look, he's still hitting the ball, and that's something you typically don't see from your stocky power hitter. When there's a power drought, there's usually an average drought too, and it's not there, and that's why he's still on this list here, Joe.
Yeah. So I mean, I had him on my list. I actually had him at 3, but again, Alonso's had 3 home runs, 13 RBIs. He leads the NL in RBIs at the moment. So he's been number 1. It just comes down to the OPS is higher than Judge's over the last 2 weeks. But what can I say? If the season ended right now, Pete Alonso would be the MVP of the NL. That's just the reality of the situation. He has been absolutely phenomenal in a pseudo contract year again. He has the opt-out at the end of the year. He's trying to prove his worth, and he is getting an opportunity basically every single day to drive in runs, especially with Juan Soto in front of him, getting on base almost every single game this season. So Pete's our number 1, and it's well-deserved. He's been absolutely phenomenal for the Mets.
Yep. Ciarra, your thoughts on the list?
So typically I hate the Bulls list, and I'm ready to argue it, but I actually like it this week So Ben Rice has been like, we didn't know what was going to happen when Stanton went down, right?
Mhm.
Ben Rice has been phenomenal. He gets on base, but he also has power. And I personally would love to see him in the leadoff spot more often than not. Obviously, he's a little bit injured at the moment. Judge is in a little bit of a power slump, but he's still the best player in baseball. So that doesn't even really matter. Max Fried is coming off of that almost no-hitter yesterday. And before that, he had a career high of 11 strikeouts. So I love that. Kodai Senga, it was mentioned earlier, he's pitching like an ace right now. I don't think Mets fans knew that was going to happen this year. Now, Pete Alonso, Big Meat Pete. How many Mets fans did not want Pete back on that team? How many Mets fans were pushing for Vladdy to replace him? And he showed, not only did he show up in the playoffs last year, he showed up from day one of 2025. And even when Soto is struggling, Pete Alonso is putting up power numbers like unbelievable. And he's just getting the job done. So most of the Mets community owes Pete an apology.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't really have much more to add because everybody was kind of covered there, but just the fact that we have fried rice on the Bulls list, and who knows, maybe the only time this happens. I just have to call that out. So shout out to Max Fried and Ben Rice on it. So we have Rice, Judge, Fried, Senga, and Pete Alonso topping our Bull list. And as I ask all the time, and Ciarra, we'll start with you. When we do this Bulls list again in about 2 weeks' time, do you have a prediction of who could make this list that's not on this list already?
I think Soto will make his way to this list just because, there's no way he doesn't at some point in the season as far as the Mets go. For the Yankees, I think Rodon is starting to get back to the Rodon that we actually want to see. So I could see Rodon making his way to the list too.
I like it. Joe?
Yeah, I think it'd be Francisco Lindor. I had him on this list over Ben Rice. Not disrespecting Ben Rice, but Lindor had a walk-off homer. He led off the next game with another home run. He led off with a home run today. So he's getting hot. He's playing up to the runner-up in the MVP he was last year. So I think Francisco Lindor is going to crack this list next week.
And I actually have to echo Joe too on this with Francisco Lindor. And when we did this 2 weeks ago, I thought, I mentioned that he would be the guy to break the Bulls list, and he just missed it. He was like a fraction of a point outside of that fifth spot. So he's been red hot the last week. Continued it today with a home run for the first game of the next voting period. So I'm going to double down with Lindor as well.
Someone who hasn't made the list yet, and I wonder how many votes he got this time around here, Khoury Favs. But Paul Goldschmidt, I think it will make the next Bulls list. I think Paul Goldschmidt has been great for this Yankees lineup, and I know the power hasn't necessarily been there, but he's hitting 372. He's got an 886 OPS. I mean, he's doing things that like a certain little guy out in San Diego would do, and Luis Arias at just the number one or number two positions of the lineup. Call it a singles merchant as you want, but Goldschmidt's been doing a job at the ripe old age of 38. So I expect Paul Goldschmidt to make this list next time around. All right, Li, let's pull up some of your comments here. Li is in our chat.
Shout
out to Li, who's always on our bear list. Ben Rice is a Bull. That is correct. Now you can let go of Stanton and lose nothing with Ben Rice here, because that's exactly what they're gonna do. Expect Ben Rice to be on the Bulls list, and Devin Williams will make the list. So we got Devin Williams' prediction on there. And then Paul Goldschmidt gives you more than Arias. So that's
empty calories.
Great. Zaliant takes from Li.
The Yankees aren't releasing Stanton. Right now, Stanton's not playing. So there's no reason to even bring Stanton into the conversation.
I don't get it.
Prove he can swing it back.
I don't get why that is a conversation. Ciarra knows that where I'm coming from all this. Let's worry about it when we get there, because baseball has a weird way of working these things out. We were all on Marcus Stroman for about 2 weeks, and then 3 Yankee starting pitchers go down, and look, he's now in your rotation, and I hope he's never on the field ever again after his latest outing. But baseball has a weird thing of working this stuff. Paul Goldschmidt's 38. What if he goes down with an injury? Now you need your first baseman, and now Stanton steps up as a right-handed hitter in the middle of your order. So you just never know. All right, folks, that's it for Empire State of Baseball, 9:14 p.m. on the East Coast. Next week, we are back for episode number 122. We don't know if Tom's going to be activated off paternity leave. So if he's not, maybe we'll get another appearance from Ciarra. Maybe another person of the ESB family will fill in that chair. But Ciarra, great job today. Thank you for filling in for Tom while he's on the all paternity list.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love being here, and congrats to Tom once again.
Big congrats to the Waspel family. Next week on the show, we bring back our creator spotlight segment for the first time in 2025 as Kevin Cruz of NYYU joins us. That's NYY Underground. They're doing great things over there. Over 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. They got a big charity softball game coming up where I got drafted to play in. So I'm going to be representing Team Pete Simonetti in about 10 days' time. So Kev is going to talk about that big game and what's to come with NYYU in the channel next week. So looking forward to having our good friend Kev on the show. But that's it. Let's do some last licks, get around the room real quick. We'll start it off. Actually, screw it. I'll start it off. We'll throw to Ciarra, Joe, and then Khoury for the wrap. Again, thanks all for those joining. We almost touched 100 today, which is a great number for us. In all honesty, I know it's been a little bit of a slow start thus far. Been crazy with a lot of the Yankee and Met games happening during ESB, so I know that has a lot to do with the number. So we really do appreciate those who are joining during those games. And it's easier when the Yankees are getting their asses kicked when you can just hang out with us. So Ciarra, how about you? Last licks, we'll throw to Joe.
The Yankees were very disappointing today, but it is what it is. You can't win all 162. So on to the next one. And yeah, let's go.
Yep.
Mets up 2-0 here on the Phillies. They're threatening now. Both Acuna and Beatty got on base back-to-back, and the Mets are going to try and flip the order here for the big guys.
Yeah, I got my fingers crossed. Hopefully we end today with the win. Hopefully we end this week with the series win versus the Phillies and keep that hot streak going. But until next time, we hope you enjoy this week of baseball, the last full week of April. Until next time, take care.